The massive doors of the ancient facility groaned open with a sound that hadn't been heard for millions of years. Commander Kim Dae-ho stepped through first, his military boots creating sharp echoes that bounced off crystalline walls stretching impossibly high above them. The air itself seemed to shimmer with residual energy, making the hair on his arms stand up despite his environmental suit. Behind him, the joint expedition team moved with mixed emotions of excitement and caution. The Viridians, tall beings with skin that shifted between blue and silver depending on the light, glided forward on their elongated limbs. Their leader, Zalthara, kept touching the walls with her six-fingered hands, her large eyes reflecting the pulsing lights embedded in the ancient structure. The ethereals floated silently above the ground, their translucent bodies crackling with uncontained energy. These beings had no solid form as humans understood it, existing as pure consciousness held together by electromagnetic fields. They communicated through harmonic frequencies that the translation devices converted into understandable speech. "Commander Kim," Dr. Park Soo-jin called out, her voice tight with disbelief. She knelt beside one of the massive cylindrical structures that dominated the chamber, her scanner beeping frantically. "These energy readings are breaking every law of physics I know. The power source for this facility has been running continuously for over 4 million years." Kim approached the archaeologist, noting how her usually steady hands trembled as she adjusted her equipment. Dr. Park had discovered 3 other ancient sites across the galaxy, but nothing had prepared her for this. The facility was enormous, easily the size of a small city, yet it appeared to be just one level of something much larger, buried beneath the planet's surface. The walls told a story in hieroglyphs, unlike anything in the galactic database. Massive figures wielding weapons of pure light battled against writhing shadows that seemed to move even in the static carvings. Stars exploded in the background of these cosmic battles, and entire solar systems appeared to be used as weapons. Leela. Min-ho, the expedition's linguist, traced his fingers along the symbols with growing fascination and unease. Each character seemed to pulse with meaning just beyond his understanding, yet something deep in his mind recognized patterns that shouldn't be familiar. "The Wardens," he whispered, pointing to a recurring symbol that appeared throughout the narrative. "And this one here keeps showing up too, the Eternal Watch, but there's something else." He paused, his brow furrowing. "These aren't just symbols, they're instructions, or maybe warnings." Captain Yoon Hai-jin, the team's military advisor, felt her combat instinct screaming that something was wrong. She'd served in 3 different galactic conflicts and had developed a 6th sense for danger. But this was different. The wrongness wasn't external, it was coming from inside her own mind. "Does anyone else feel like they've been here before?" she asked, her hand unconsciously moving to her sidearm. The alien team members looked at her with confusion, but the other humans nodded slowly. Dr. Park stood up from her scanner, her face pale. "It's getting stronger the deeper we go, like déjà vu but more intense." As they moved through the facility, the crystalline structures became more complex. Some were clearly containment units, their surfaces covered in warning symbols that made the translation software malfunction. Others appeared to be control interfaces, with hand-shaped indentations that seemed designed for human use despite the facility's impossible age. The ethereal named Vortalan pulsed with concerned energy patterns. "These containment fields are still active. Something is being held inside these structures, and it has been imprisoned for eons." Commander Kim studied the nearest containment unit. It was massive, easily 20 meters tall, and the energy field surrounding it was so dense it was visible to the naked eye. Whatever was inside cast no shadow, no reflection, as if light itself was afraid to acknowledge its presence. "Sir," Lee Min-ho called from across the chamber, his voice echoing strangely. "You need to see this." The team gathered around a wall covered in more detailed hieroglyphs. These showed the construction of the facility itself, with human-like figures directing the work. But the humans in the carvings were different, taller, with eyes that seemed to hold starlight and hands that could bend space itself. "This is impossible," Dr. Park breathed. These carvings show humans building this facility, but our species was still evolving on Earth when this was constructed. As they approached the central chamber, the strange feeling of familiarity became overwhelming for the human team members. Kim felt knowledge flooding his mind, technical specifications for the containment systems, security protocols he'd never learned, and most disturbing of all, a growing sense of responsibility for whatever was locked away in this place. The massive doors to the central chamber stood before them, covered in warnings in dozens of languages. At the center, written in perfect modern Korean, were the words that made Kim's blood run cold. "Welcome home, Wardens. Your watch begins again." Dr. Park Soo-jin couldn't resist the pull she felt toward the crystalline interface. The smooth surface seemed to call to her, its soft blue glow pulsing in rhythm with her heartbeat. Despite Captain Yoon Hae-jin's warnings about touching unknown alien technology, something deep inside Park's mind whispered that this was safe, that this was meant for her. The moment her palm made contact with the crystal, everything changed. Surge of energy exploded through the facility, like lightning through water. The ancient walls blazed with light as dormant systems that had slept for millions of years suddenly roared back to life. Crystalline conduits throughout the structure began humming with power, creating a symphony of harmonics that made the alien team members step back in alarm. But it was the humans who bore the brunt of the awakening. Commander Kim Dae-ho stumbled backward as his vision split between the present and something else entirely. He found himself standing on the command deck of a starship so massive it could house entire cities. Through the viewport, he watched as fleets of vessels shaped like silver crescents moved in perfect formation across star fields he'd never seen before. His hands moved across control panels with practiced ease, coordinating battles across multiple star systems simultaneously. In this vision, he wasn't just Kim Dae-ho, Expedition Commander. He was Admiral Kim Dae-ho of the Eternal Fleet, orchestrating the defense of reality itself against enemies that devoured entire dimensions. Dr. Park experienced her own flood of impossible memories. She stood in the heart of construction sites, on dozens of worlds, watching as prison facilities were built to contain horrors beyond imagination. Her mind filled with technical knowledge about containment fields that could hold beings of pure, malevolent energy, about pocket dimensions that served as infinite jails, about technologies that bent the laws of physics to create unbreakable bonds. She watched herself directing the placement of each facility with surgical precision, ensuring that the cosmic predators would remain separated and powerless. The knowledge felt as natural as breathing, even though she knew she'd never learned any of it. Lee Min-ho's experience was perhaps the most overwhelming. Languages flooded his consciousness, not just alien tongues, but the fundamental languages of creation itself. He understood how to speak to stars and command black holes, how to write equations that could reshape matter at the atomic level. Ancient human technologies revealed themselves to him, faster-than-light drives that folded space like paper, weapons that could crack planets, shields that existed in 7 dimensions simultaneously. The linguistic patterns he'd been studying weren't just writing. They were activation codes, command sequences for technologies that his ancestors had hidden throughout the galaxy. Captain Yoon Hae-jin felt the military protocols awakening in her mind, like sleeping giants stirring to life. Combat formations for space battles involving thousands of ships materialized in her thoughts. She understood deployment strategies for wars fought across multiple realities, tactics for hunting enemies that could phase between dimensions. Her body remembered training with weapons that fired concentrated starlight and armor that was forged from crystallized time itself. "What's happening to us?" she gasped. But even as she spoke, part of her mind was calculating defensive positions for the facility, identifying potential breach points and escape routes with military precision she'd never possessed before. The alien team members watched in growing alarm as their human companions staggered under the weight of awakening memories. The Viridian's skin shifted to deep purple, a sign of extreme distress, while the ethereal's energy forms flickered with concerned patterns. In the central chamber, the floor itself became transparent, revealing a 3-dimensional holographic map of the entire galaxy. Thousands of points of light appeared, each one marking a facility identical to the one they stood in. The map rotated slowly, showing similar installations in neighboring galaxies as well. Every single facility bore the same symbol, a stylized human hand grasping a star, with ancient Korean characters that translated to Guardian and Warden. Zalthara, the Viridian team leader, approached the hologram with trembling limbs. Her translator struggled with the emotional stress in her voice. These coordinates, some of these match locations where our people have reported strange phenomena for generations, mysterious structures that appear and disappear, areas of space where our ships malfunction for no reason. She turned to face Commander Kim, who was still lost in his visions. How do you possess knowledge of these places? Your species has only been traveling between stars for a few centuries. These facilities are older than our oldest civilizations. But the humans couldn't answer. They were lost in the flood of genetic memories, experiencing the rise and fall of an ancient human empire that had spanned not just galaxies, but entire realities. They saw the Great War that had nearly destroyed everything, witnessed the sacrifice their ancestors had made to save all existence from the Devourers. The crystalline interface under Dr. Park's hand pulsed brighter, and suddenly the facility's central AI began to speak in perfect ancient Korean, its voice carrying harmonics that resonated in their bones. Welcome home, Wardens. The long sleep is over. Your species has been tested and found worthy once again. The Devourers stir in their prisons. The galaxy needs its guardians to awaken. The holographic map zoomed in on several facilities, showing red warning indicators. Some had gone completely dark, their containment systems failing after millions of years of operation. Others showed signs of the imprisoned entities testing their bonds, probing for weaknesses. As the visions continued, the human team members began to understand the terrible truth. They hadn't discovered an alien facility at all. They had come home to a place their own ancestors had built, and the awakening process was reminding them of a duty that had been passed down through their very DNA for millions of years. The archives. Voice resonated through the chamber with the weight of millennia, its harmonics seeming to speak directly to the awakening genetic memories within each human present. The AI's form materialized as a shimmering humanoid figure, tall and elegant, with features that were unmistakably human, yet perfected beyond normal limits. Greetings, Wardens Kim Dae-ho, Park Soo-jin, Lee Min-ho, and Yoon Hae-jin, the archive began, its voice carrying both authority and warmth. I have maintained this vigil for 4,700,063 years, waiting for your bloodlines to mature sufficiently for reactivation. Dr. Park Soo-jin stumbled backward, her scientific mind reeling as data streams flowed directly into her consciousness through the crystalline interface she still touched. Ancient star charts, genetic modification records, and terraforming projects filled her awareness. This is impossible, she whispered, though the evidence flooding her thoughts said otherwise. Humans couldn't have existed millions of years ago. The archive's expression showed something resembling sadness. Your people have forgotten much as was intended. The memory suppression protocols were designed to allow normal development until the galaxy required its guardians once more. Holographic. Displays materialized around them, showing the rise of the first human civilization. These weren't the primitive ancestors that Earth's history suggested, but beings of incredible technological and spiritual advancement. They had transcended the limitations of single planets, single galaxies, even single realities. Commander Kim watched in fascination as the displays showed human cities that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously, ships that traveled by, folding space-time like origami, and weapons that could rewrite the fundamental forces of physics. We were gods, he breathed. You were guardians, the archive corrected, and your greatest enemy was not another species but something far worse. The chamber darkened as new holographs appeared, showing creatures that hurt to look at directly. The Devourers were beings of pure hunger, existing between realities and consuming everything they encountered. They didn't just destroy matter and energy. They devoured existence itself, leaving behind voids where reality simply ceased to be. Lee Min-ho felt his linguistic abilities expanding as he interfaced with the archive's language centers. He could suddenly understand the Devourer's true nature. through mathematical concepts that hadn't existed in modern human knowledge. They're not from our reality at all, he realized. They're from the spaces between realities, the gaps where nothing should exist. Correct, the archive confirmed. The ancient human civilization discovered them when expanding into parallel dimensions. The Devourers had already consumed 17 parallel universes entirely, leaving nothing but empty void where billions of realities once existed. The holographic display showed the epic war that followed. Human fleets numbering in the millions engaged entities that existed as living holes in space. Entire star systems were weaponized, black holes were turned into cannons, and the very fabric of reality became a battlefield. The war lasted for over 1 million years and nearly destroyed everything. Captain Yun Hai-jin watched battle formations that made her modern military training look like children playing with toys. "How did we win?" she asked, though part of her already knew the answer. Victory was impossible through conventional means, the archive explained. The Devourers grew stronger with each reality they consumed. So your ancestors chose a different path, containment instead of destruction. Dr. Park accessed deeper records, her hands shaking as she processed the scope of the ancient human sacrifice. They built prisons, thousands of them. But the cost, she looked up at her companions, tears streaming down her face. They had to give up everything. Their advanced civilization, their technologies, their very existence as a unified species. The archive nodded solemnly. The prison network required constant maintenance and monitoring. Your ancestors scattered themselves across the universe, accepting genetic modifications that would allow them to live normal lives while carrying the dormant knowledge needed to maintain the eternal watch. Commander Kim felt the weight of eons pressing down on him as he understood the true scope of humanity's sacrifice. Earth wasn't our homeworld. It was a garrison. One of thousands, the archive confirmed. Each human population was placed strategically near critical prison facilities. Your people lived, loved, built civilizations, and died without ever knowing they were guardians of reality itself. The Viridian team leader, Zalthara, had been listening in stunned silence. Her skin had shifted to a pale silver, indicating profound shock. "The anomalies we've recorded throughout our history," she whispered. "The areas of space where our technology fails, the mysterious structures that appear and vanish." "Prison facilities," Lee Min-ho confirmed, his expanded linguistic abilities allowing him to interface directly with the archive's historical records. Every major galactic civilization developed under humanity's protection, though none of you ever knew it. The ethereal named Vorthalan pulsed with patterns of amazement and gratitude. The safe zones throughout our space, the regions where no cosmic disasters ever occur. You have been watching over us for millions of years. The archive displayed a current status report that made everyone's blood run cold. Red warning indicators flashed across dozens of facilities throughout the galaxy. The Devourers have been testing their bonds for the past several centuries. 7 facilities have experienced containment breaches, and 43 more show signs of structural weakness. Dr. Park pulled her hand away from the interface, but the connection remained active. The sleeper protocols activated because the galaxy is in danger again. Your genetic memories have awakened because the Eternal Watch must resume, the archive confirmed. The automated systems have maintained the prisons admirably, but they were never designed to function without warden oversight indefinitely. Commander Kim looked at his team, seeing the weight of cosmic responsibility settling on their shoulders. Around them, their alien companions stood in awed silence, finally understanding why certain regions of space had always felt mysteriously safe, why their civilizations had been able to develop without facing the cosmic horrors that lurked beyond reality's edges. "We never stopped being guardians," Kim realized. "We just forgot we were." The archive's form brightened slightly. "And now, Wardens, it is time to remember fully. The galaxy needs its protectors once more, and the Eternal Watch must not fail." The archive's holographic form flickered with urgency as critical alerts flooded the chamber. Red warning symbols cascaded across every surface, each one representing a prison facility somewhere in the galaxy that was experiencing dangerous containment. Failures. Facility 7439 in the Andromeda Spiral has gone completely silent, the archive announced, its voice carrying a weight of concern that made the humans' awakening genetic memories scream with alarm. Facility 12847 in the Magellanic Cluster is reporting cascade failures in 17 containment units. The Devourers are not simply testing their bonds anymore, they are actively coordinating escape attempts. Dr. Park Soo-jin gasped as the awakening protocol surged through her consciousness like liquid fire. Her perception expanded beyond the physical chamber, beyond the planet itself. Suddenly she could sense the vast network of interdimensional prisons stretching across the galaxy like a cosmic web. Each facility pulsed in her awareness, and she could feel the malevolent intelligence of the Devourers pressing against their containment fields. "I can see them," she whispered, her eyes glowing with an inner light that hadn't been there moments before. "All of them. The entire prison network is alive in my mind." Her hands moved instinctively to control interfaces that materialized in the air around her. Three-dimensional holographic panels that responded to her thoughts rather than physical. Touched at Captain Yoon Hae-jin felt reality itself become malleable around her. The space-time manipulation abilities awakening in her mind were beyond anything modern physics had theorized. She raised her hand experimentally, and the air in front of her rippled like water. With a focused thought, she created a small pocket dimension, then collapsed it harmlessly. "This power," she breathed, staring at her hands in amazement. "I could fold space to travel instantly across the galaxy, or create time loops to trap enemies in eternal moments." The military applications flooded her enhanced consciousness. She could deploy fleets across multiple star systems simultaneously, create temporal shields that would make attacks occur before they were launched, or trap entire enemy armadas in pocket dimensions. Lee Min-ho's linguistic abilities exploded beyond normal comprehension. He could suddenly hear the communications between prison facilities across the galaxy, automated systems speaking in languages that existed in 17 dimensions simultaneously. More importantly, he could hear something else, the whispers of awakening humans throughout the cosmos. "It's incredible," he reported, his voice carrying harmonics that resonated with frequencies beyond normal hearing. "There's a farmer on Kepler 438b who just realized he's been unconsciously maintaining a camouflaged weapons depot for 3 decades. A merchant ship captain near the Orion Nebula just discovered her cargo vessel is actually a disguised battle cruiser equipped with reality warping weapons." The archive displayed a real-time map of human populations across the galaxy. Thousands of indicators were shifting from blue to gold as the awakening protocol spread through genetic networks that had remained dormant for millions of years. Colony. Ship passengers who thought they were heading to new agricultural worlds are discovering they're actually garrison forces being deployed to critical defense positions, Lee continued, his enhanced awareness tracking the awakening across vast distances. Mining operations that have been extracting rare minerals for decades are realizing they've been harvesting exotic matter needed to maintain the prison systems. Commander Kim Dae-ho felt the weight of cosmic command settling onto his shoulders. As his genetic memories fully activated, strategic knowledge flooded his mind, deployment patterns for defending an entire galaxy, coordination protocols for managing a war that spanned multiple realities, and most importantly, the ability to see the larger pattern that the Devourers' escape attempts were forming. "They're not randomly testing containment fields," he realized, studying the three-dimensional display that now showed the galaxy as a vast tactical battlefield. The Devourers are following a specific pattern. They're trying to create a cascade, failure that will free their queen. The holographic display zoomed in on a specific region of space that made the alien team members step back in alarm. It was an area they had always avoided without knowing why. A region where ships experienced unexplained malfunctions and where space itself seemed to whisper with malevolent intelligence. "Facility 1, the archive intoned solemnly. "The primary containment site where the Devourer Queen has been imprisoned for over 4 million years. If she escapes, she will have the power to free all others and resume the consumption of realities." Dr. Park's connection to the prison network showed her the true scope of the crisis. 17 facilities have already fallen silent, the automated systems are reporting that something is moving between prison sites, something that shouldn't be able to exist in normal space. Through the facility's enhanced sensors, they watched as a devourer scout, a fragment of pure hunger given semi-physical form, phased through the hull of a nearby space station. The alien crew never knew what hit them. One moment they existed, the next moment there was simply empty space where their bodies and consciousness had been. Yoon Hae-jin responded instinctively, her space-time manipulation abilities reaching across interstellar distances. She folded space around the devourer scout, trapping it in a temporal loop that would contain it until proper reinforcements could arrive. The sleeper agents are responding to the crisis, Lee reported, his awareness spanning the galaxy's communication networks. Human populations that have lived ordinary lives for generations are suddenly remembering how to operate weapons that can crack planets, how to pilot ships that exist in 7 dimensions simultaneously, and how to fight enemies that attack reality itself. The archive's form brightened with something resembling relief. The awakening is proceeding ahead of schedule. Your species' genetic safeguards have recognized the severity of the threat. Commander Kim looked at his team, seeing the cosmic responsibility reflected in their eyes. Around them, their alien companions watched in awe as ordinary humans transformed, into beings capable of defending reality itself. "We have a choice," Kim announced, though he could feel the decision had already been made at a genetic level. "We can try to return to our simple lives, pretend we never learned the truth and hope that someone else will handle the crisis threatening all existence." He paused, looking at the red warning lights blinking across dozens of star systems. "Or we can accept what we truly are. Not just humans from Earth, but wardens of reality, descendants of the greatest civilization that ever existed, inheritors of a duty that spans millions of years." Dr. Park nodded firmly, her hands still dancing. Across the interdimensional control interfaces, the Eternal Watch resumes. The decision was unanimous, and across the galaxy, millions of awakening humans made the same choice. The command center materialized around Commander Kim Dae-ho like a dream becoming reality. The facility's quantum processors had reconstructed the ancient Warden headquarters, a structure that existed simultaneously in 17 different dimensions. Through crystalline walls that showed glimpses of parallel realities, Kim could see thousands of newly awakened humans across the galaxy taking their positions at similar command posts. The transformation had been swift and breathtaking. Within hours of the Awakening Protocol's activation, sleeper agents throughout the cosmos had shed their ordinary identities like butterflies emerging from cocoons. A simple moisture farmer on Tau Ceti had revealed himself as the guardian of a weapons cache that could arm entire fleets. 3 sisters running a small trading post in the Vega system had activated a massive interdimensional shipyard hidden in the space between realities. Dr. Park Soo-jin floated in the center of the command nexus, her physical form surrounded by swirling data streams that connected her consciousness to every prison facility in the galaxy. Her voice had gained harmonics that allowed her to communicate across multiple dimensions simultaneously, coordinating repairs and reinforcements with thoughts that traveled faster than light itself. "Facility 7439 is back online," she reported, her words creating visible ripples in the air around her. "The automated repair systems have been upgraded with enhanced containment protocols. Facility 12847 has successfully recaptured 6 escaped Devourer fragments using the new quantum nets." Through the command center's enhanced sensors, they watched as human wardens engaged the escaped entities across multiple star systems. These weren't the awkward space battles of their previous existence, with clumsy chemical rockets and primitive weapons. These were conflicts fought with technologies that bent the laws of physics into new shapes. Captain Yoon Hae-jin led a strike team against a Devourer scout that had consumed an entire moon in the Proxima Centauri system. Her ship existed in 7 dimensions simultaneously, allowing her to attack the entity from angles that didn't exist in normal space. She folded time around the creature, trapping it in a temporal cage while her weapons fired concentrated reality itself at the imprisoned horror. The Devourer scout tried to phase into the space between dimensions, But Yoon had anticipated this. She collapsed the dimensional barriers around it, forcing the entity back into normal space, where the enhanced containment fields could hold it. Within minutes, the scout was trapped in a mobile prison unit, ready for transport to the nearest permanent facility. Lee Min-ho's role had evolved beyond simple translation. He had become the communication hub for the entire Galactic Defense Network, his enhanced linguistic abilities allowing him to coordinate between human wardens, alien allies, and the artificial intelligences that managed the prison systems. His consciousness touched millions of minds simultaneously, creating a network of shared awareness that made the ancient human civilization's coordination possible once again. The Rigel sector is reporting complete success, he announced, his voice carrying information in frequencies that bypassed normal hearing and spoke directly to the enhanced human minds around him. Former asteroid miners have activated the hidden fortress there. The facility has been camouflaged as a natural nebula for 4 million years, but it's actually a massive weapons platform capable of sterilizing entire star systems if necessary. The alien species across the galaxy had reacted with amazement rather than betrayal upon learning the truth. The Viridian's Council of Elders sent a formal declaration of gratitude, finally understanding why their expansion into certain regions of space had always felt mysteriously protected. The Ethereals pledged their energy manipulation abilities to help reinforce the dimensional barriers around the most dangerous prison facilities. Zalthara, the Viridian team leader, had remained at the facility to serve as liaison between the awakened wardens and the galactic community. "My people want to know how we can help," she said, her skin shifting to the deep gold that indicated profound respect among her species. "We have technologies, resources, entire fleets that can be placed at your disposal." Commander Kim studied the tactical displays surrounding him. The situation was stabilizing, but the scope of the operation was staggering. "We need monitoring stations in the dead zones between galaxies," he decided. "Places where devourers might try to regroup if they escape our local containment network. Your people's sensor technology would be invaluable there." As the immediate crisis subsided, Lee Min-ho approached Kim with information that made the commander's enhanced awareness tingle with dread. The linguistic specialist had been analyzing the deepest archive records, translating warnings left by the original human civilization. "Commander," Lee began, his voice carrying undertones that spoke of cosmic-scale revelations, "I've discovered why Earth was chosen as our primary garrison world, why it became the center of human development in this galaxy." Kim turned from the tactical displays, though his enhanced awareness already suspected what Lee was about to reveal. The genetic memories whispered of a truth so vast that even the awakened wardens had difficulty processing it. "Earth doesn't just sit near a prison facility," Lee continued, his words weighted with the gravity of eons. "Earth is built on top of Facility 1, the largest, most secure prison ever constructed. For 4 million years, human civilization has unknowingly lived directly above the containment cell, holding the Devourer Queen herself." The command center fell silent as the implications sank in. Every human on Earth, every city and nation, every moment of their species' development had occurred while living on the roof of a cosmic prison, holding the most dangerous entity in existence. "If she ever escapes," Lee added quietly, "she will have the power to free all other devourers instantly. Her awakening would signal the beginning of the final consumption, the end of not just our reality, but all parallel realities as well." Kim nodded gravely, his enhanced perception showing him the vast networks of defense systems hidden beneath Earth's crust, the quantum locks that had held for millions of years, the failsafes that his ancestors had built into the planet's very core. Humanity had never been trapped on Earth. They had been its guardians, its jailers, its final line of defense against cosmic annihilation. Through the command center's dimensional windows, Kim looked out at the star field, where thousands of his fellow wardens now maintained their posts. Former colonists piloted ships that existed in multiple realities. Ex-merchants coordinated supply lines that stretched across galactic clusters. Simple farmers tended weapons gardens that grew reality warping. Armaments. The Eternal Watch had resumed, and across the galaxy humanity had remembered its true purpose. They were not conquerors or explorers. They were guardians, protectors, the silent watchers who stood between existence and the hungry void that sought to devour everything. As the ancient duty resumed, the galaxy slept safely once more under humanity's protection, never knowing how close it had come to total annihilation, never realizing that their ordinary human neighbors were actually the descendants of gods who had sacrificed everything to keep reality itself alive. The watch would continue until the end of time itself. The end.